recording.
Wonderful.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. I have a very special little talk that's about to happen, and I am going to be experiencing it for the first time as well, because I don't know what happened. But we have Denise Hook, or Denise Hall, with Gaia Goddess Jewelry, Gaia Goddess Fine Jewelry. And I'm going to give a little background about how we know each other. And then we have Sabra Laval here as well. And we will also explain what she's doing here in a second. But first, Denise and I have we have a history of kind of jewelry that's bonded us together. Originally, we were neighbors. We lived right next door to each other. I don't even know how many years ago was that. So long ago.
Oh, like it's been at least a decade ago.
Was it? Wow. Okay, yeah. Right, yeah.
At least, yeah, it feels that long when you guys first moved next door to us. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is how the story goes very quickly, because we think it's a cute story, but
Yeah.
So Denise was manifesting a neighbor that she would be friends with
Yeah.
when our house was empty, and then we moved in, my husband and I and our kids. That was started the height of our jewelry business. So we were making jewelry out of the garage at the house next door to Denise when our business took off. And I honestly was so inundated with my jewelry business that I really couldn't even barely pick up my head to say hi to Denise when she came over. And yeah, so I mean, we really didn't know each other that well. I knew her husband because he was always outside and he was into cars, and my son was really into cars, and they had a Tesla, and so anyway, it was like, and our husbands were friendly with each other as well. But I lived there for
about getting us to be friends, but like we never actually had a chance to.
Yeah. So I move, and Denise did not get her wish come true or manifest her a friend living next door at that time. But fast forward to when I was managing a K Jewelers store, and it was COVID, and right after COVID. And we are it's after COVID, and it's the first holiday season, I think, too, right? Yeah. So we had hired a bunch of people, and I was training them, and everyone wore a mask in the store. So Denise comes in, she's wearing a mask, I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah.
We worked the entire day. I trained her the entire day.
Yeah.
We're sitting, like, literally for 8 hours. We're sitting across from each other, at desks across from each other, like behind the counter. And she's like, and I said, oh, so where do you live? And she was like, oh, I live on Archer Ranch. And I was like, oh, I live there. I used to live there. And she's like, you did? And I was like, yeah. She's like, well, where? And I was like, I gave her my address. She's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I did. And she's like, and I go, well, let me draw you a map. So I drew her a map.
Yeah.
And she was like, you didn't. And I said, yes, I did. And she like kind of argued about
it. For a while, because I'm like, this woman's crazy. She doesn't know where she lives. I know all my neighbors.
It was so funny. And then finally she was like, wait, is your husband Dan? And I was like, yes. And she was like, oh my God, Jennifer, it's Denise. And she took off her mask, and I took off my mask. We were like, oh my God, that's so weird. Wow. We just worked the entire day together and had no idea who each other were.
Well, and we had changed a bit too. My hair was different, and we hadn't really spent a whole lot of time together. I mean, we had exchanged gifts and things like at Christmas or whatever, but we had never really had a bonding. But ever since that day, we've been, thick as thieves, and it was just really cool that had, manifested so quickly, after. And now we're like, we talk almost every day.
Yeah, I mean, it came true, right? Your manifestation came true, and we've since gone on. We no longer work at K's, and we since have gone on. Denise has started her own jewelry company. And she gets all of her jewelry manufactured through the company that I work for, which is Riyalto. And we've actually had another episode or podcast, or we had a recording a long time ago. Denise was actually one of our first customers, and she's very loved by everyone at Riyalto. So I will say that. Anyway, so we will, in the show notes, we will put how you can find Denise's beautiful jewelry, which I am wearing her love pendant. I wear it all the time.
Wearing the love pendant.
And okay, so that's how we met. That's how jewelry has bonded us. So
Right.
let's bring it back to current day.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna warn everybody that they, including myself, I'm like, where did I put it? My Kleenex. Everyone's
Yeah.
gonna probably need some Kleenex. Um, because we
Yeah.
have so Denise had a very
Traumatic
tragedy.
summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had your husband Blake
Yeah.
uh
My Blake that you
tragically.
guys have known for a very long time. And we were all like, very good friends and so
We
forth
went and
together.
celebrated birthdays together. We would go out
Yeah.
as couples, and I mean, we've been very, very close friends,
Yeah.
couple friends. And
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah, and so a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago, Blake had passed, and I've been trying to, kind of get through that whole coming to terms with it. And Blake and I both were very spiritual people. We were both understood how, like, consciousness works and how reality works, and so we were on the same page with that. And you know even though we were on the same page with that, it's still very difficult at times for me to accept that in this reality, because that's what grief is all about. And so a couple of weeks ago, Jennifer and I were talking, and she asked me like what I needed, or for myself. And she kept asking me, I guess it was some sort of exercise you had learned. You kept asking me why, like, why do I need this? Why do I need this? Why do I need this? And so the final why was that I needed some sort of self-care. Like, I didn't feel like I was getting self-care. And so I went online and started looking for like massage therapists, or something that would make me feel like I was getting self-care. And so after an hour or so of research, I stumbled upon Sabra's, site of ascended therapy. And of course, nothing else clicked for me, but that clicked for me. And it's local. And I knew it was something that I wanted to do in person, and just really experience in person, because I know a lot of people aren't there yet as far as comfortable with like this type of therapy, where it's about your consciousness and connection and so forth. But I've had so many experiences, and my husband had experiences that we shared. So for us, this is makes perfect sense, and it made perfect sense. So basically, so I would let Sabra come in now, and basically explain what her therapy is about before we go on into
yeah,
what actually
what is
happened.
what is ascended therapy? I'm so curious.
Oh, ascended therapy. Well, I'm multidisciplinary, so I do a lot of different modalities. And I think that beyond quantum healing is sort of like the top, I mean, maybe step 10. A lot of people come for massage or Reiki, and then I sort of introduce them to these deeper therapeutic sessions that we can go through. So I sort of go on journeys with people. And this one, Beyond Quantum Healing, it's really a space for miracles. It is a space for deep healing. You connect with your higher self. You're really going outside of the veil and getting answers that you wouldn't, get in ordinary day life. And so in this space, you connect with your teams, maybe galactic beings. You go to off-planet lives, or you go to healing places. And Denise was able to connect with her husband, to all of her, people that have passed on, and different beings. And so we saw a lot of very interesting things. And I think even went to Lemuria at one point. But yeah, so it's very multidimensional. We have access to any place. It's a quantum place. So really, we can go anywhere, we can become anything. And it's just our higher selves is sort of guiding the process. So it's very specific to each client, where we go and
Do
what
you
Right.
have
unfolds.
do you have do you have to have any experience with the quantum anything, or do you like have to know about anything like this before you start this kind of therapy?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think all it takes is just an openness, an open-mindedness.
Yeah.
Had you heard of any of these other places that you had been, Denise, before you went there? Were you aware of any of this? Was your consciousness aware?
Of quantum healing. Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with like Dolores Cannon and some of the quantum hypnosis healing therapy that they had done. But for me overall, like when I was 9 years old, I had an out of body experience. And then Blake and I both shared how we had experiences with higher realms and higher energy and stuff. So it's very real. And so when people try and, I mean, there are people, I'm sure this will all sound kooky or whatever to them, and that's fine to them. But the thing is that when you know that this has happened and you've had the experience yourself, you don't need other people to tell you like, oh, you're crazy and that's not right or whatever, because I have the knowing. It's so if they tell me otherwise, it's like being gaslit, like they're trying to tell me that the experience that I've had is not real. Well, I know that it's real because I've had it. So it may be difficult to explain it to other people, especially those who've never had it themselves. But I know that it's real because I've had multiple experiences of it with my consciousness. And so so that's why I wanted to have this, and I felt like I needed someone experienced to guide me through this particular one, because with my husband Blake's recent passing, I really wanted to connect with him and just kind of feel that healing part and stuff. So I needed a guide, a physical human guide, to take me to my spiritual guides, so to speak.
And there's in that connection, I mean, and not just with him, but with every encounter you had in the session. I mean, it's so visceral. You're feeling so much within your body. Yeah. It's so expanded in the room for me as an observer. I can feel the energy so expansive and these high frequencies coming in. So it's like you really feel it on an emotional level. I mean, she's feeling the light entering her body, and it's very visceral.
Yeah. So walk me through, tell me, like you get there and then like tell me how it works.
Yeah. So I do some like visualization exercises so she can practice just visualizing a story. And then I go into the induction. So she's just visualizing everything I'm saying during the induction as she's going into a theta brainwave state. And then I open it up to her and I ask her, now, where are we? And so she begins to explain where she is and what she's feeling around her as she grounds into this space. And
are you awake, Denise? Like, are you present?
So the best way I can explain it is like, that sleep part of day where, you're not quite awake, but what's going on around you kind of in the room, but you're not like fully awake. So like there were points where I was like, I can feel what's going on in my body. And I know that my part of me is in the room, laying on a table and experiencing it. But like the higher part of me is, somewhere else. And so it was like a mix of both, knowing where you are physically but not being there consciously.
So it's sort of like being hypnotized.
Well, it is being hypnosis, because you're going into a hypnosis, but it's like you're taking your consciousness into a quantum field.
Yeah. Like traveling interdimensionally.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've never done this before, Denise? Like this?
No, I've never done this before. No, but like I said, I've had out of body experiences where I've completely left my body. Like my consciousness has completely left my body altogether.
Like the reason I'm asking this is like, I don't know if I could even go do this. Like, I don't know if
and that part of it is being open enough to trust, what's happening is what's happening. If you're like constantly either in fear or in a state of, well, that can't be right, that can't be right. If you're telling yourself like you're experiencing something and you're like, nope, that can't be right, then you're gonna doubt yourself through the whole process. And you have to
relinquish control then.
Exactly. You have to relinquish completely and just go with it and let like what comes out and and what you're downloading, because you're both uploading and downloading at the same time. So
I've had a download before, so I do know how that happens. It's fast and a lot of
Right.
information. I do
Yeah.
get that part. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm just asking these questions because I'm thinking I need to come.
It's your turn.
I just don't know
Right.
if I can relinquish control. That's my only issue. But anyway, hopefully
It's
you would help me get there. I'm sure of that. But
Yeah.
okay, so tell me what happens.
So basically, like she said, that she guided me initially through the exercises, and then we went through like the theta state and everything, and then she said, okay, in the hypnosis part, like 3, 2, 1, you're in a place where you feel completely safe, and nothing can harm you, and tell me where you are, kind of thing. So so in my first experience, I was which I was telling her where I was in like a garden party, and it was a space where all I saw was light energy, like light bodies, and I knew that everybody in this party, in this space, were energies that loved me and cared for me. And so and I didn't see any faces or anything like that at first. I just saw like a party setting, basically.
And
It's
could
like,
you like see it, or were you like, was it in your,
yeah,
like, how did you see it?
in my consciousness. Yeah. It's like, and I could see it like you're like in a dream state, when you're in a dream state and you see things in your
Okay.
dreams. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you're in a dream state and you see everything.
Was it in
And
color?
yeah, all in color. I saw that energies were beaming golden lights, and then there were lights overhead, like party lights overhead, and I heard chatter, I heard music, and it was happy chatter, happy music, and you know, uh, and then I recognized one of the energy beings, of course, and it was my husband. And he was like in a group of other energy beings, and they were like, ha ha ha, talking and chattering and stuff, like if you had walked into a party and everybody was doing their thing. And so when he recognized me, he immediately came over, and then it was just like, we just started kind of talking, and he was telling me, he's like, oh my God, like this is amazing. I love it here. I'm having a good time. Um, and it wasn't like we were talking, it was like we were exchanging energy. Like he wasn't saying blah 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 blah. He was like downloading to me the energy of how he was feeling and what was going on there. So I felt like, he was happy. He wanted me to know that he was safe and that everything was going to be okay, that the boys were going to be okay, that I didn't have to worry about everything or anything at all whatsoever. And he wanted me to know that, he had a good life, and, he didn't want me to focus on anything negative at all whatsoever, because, you're married, and there are negative things that pop up when marriages.
Yeah.
Like, don't focus on anything negative. Just remember all the good stuff.
Trying to find my Kleenex.
I know.
Oh.
And then of course, the hard thing is that he told me, if I ever felt, like I couldn't focus on the good stuff, the positive stuff, to remember that the song that he used to like, joke at with me and stuff. And it was a Talking Head song. And it was like, and you may find yourself, in this beautiful house, and you may find yourself with this beautiful wife. And then you'll ask yourself, like, how did I get there? And, that was his like song for us. Every time it came on in the car, he would like look at me and we'd joke about it. So, yeah, so of course, even in the actual therapy, I was crying because like I could feel the tears, coming down my eyes and stuff, and we're like, so happy to see him, and like we're embraced in that. And so I was like, okay, this is cool. I know, that he's good, and we're good, and our journey together, he was telling me that our journey together is like over and over and over, like we're connected, we're bonded, we're always going to be family. He's always going to be here to guide us. And basically he just wanted to know, is like, this was our journey. And we, even though if our marriage started off like a, very shaky, like the first 7 years of our marriage was the negative part, that he would want to say. And then after that, we both had a choice to go left or go right kind of in the marriage, which means we could have continued to fight each other in a way that would have made it a hostile marriage, or we could have gone in a way where we decided we were going to grow and evolve. And basically it was an individual choice for both of us, and we both made the choice individually, not talking to each other about it, but individually in our spirit we had both made that choice to evolve. And that's essentially where we had been. We had both evolved in this relationship that was very difficult and long term, and without not blaming each other, but taking responsibility individually in the marriage for our own happiness and evolving in that. So that was exciting, and I was really thrilled about that party. And at the party there were so many other consciousnesses there, and it wasn't like it was filled with people who had passed or anything. It was filled with the higher consciousness of everybody that we knew. And so it was like dead or alive, anyone that we had come in contact, their higher consciousness was part of this party. And so it was like, he could interact with them all at any given time.
Like me? Like my energy could have been up there?
Yes, yours was there. My mom's, the kids, like everybody, my grandmothers who were both passed were there. But it was like the higher consciousness. And I knew I was connected to everyone. I knew that in this energy, in this group of energy at this party, that everybody there, I had lived lives with multiple times over and over. And that this was like a coming together kind of place of knowing that, that we were always working together in our best interests with each other. Like we were always going to be safe with each other and stuff. This was like our spiritual family kind of thing.
Huh.
And so
I have a question for Sabra. Is this typical? Like, is this something does this happen often?
I've never had anyone go to a party with all their loved ones. So that was cool.
That is cool.
But it was,
cool for me.
Remembering that life is supposed to be a party,
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun.
And those were all the messages you needed to receive that day to lighten this grief. It was like you got everything you needed, so it was important that you go to that party and be surrounded by all these beings. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a good point to make. So you did you get what you were seeking for as far as being able to connect with Blake?
Yeah. I mean, I know, I feel him every day, and he's always around and so forth. And then, like also just a couple of days ago, I was, having one of my, very sad, feelings that he was with me, kind of breakdown feelings or whatever. And then I started watching this, I guess it was YouTube or something like that I was on, but it was another channeler, Bashar, Daryl Anka. And his thing was basically saying that, when you're feeling that grief in that moment, that means they're close to you. That's they're with you in that moment, and you're feeling the connection with them in that moment. And for you, instead of going into grief, to recognize that, oh, hey, you're here, and it's hard for most people to acknowledge that, because the grief is so strong, and it's like this emotional knowing that they're with me, and I'm not seeing them, or I'm not connected, or I'm not feeling connected or whatever in that moment. But so now it's going to be I think it's going to be a little easier for me that, when I feel that feeling of loss, that I know that it's not loss, that he's actually with me. And compounded with this experience, it's like, okay, and obviously it's a process. So it's not like just, letting him go. It's a matter of accepting and acknowledging, that we go on. We do. Our consciousness goes on. And I know that before. He knew that before. So this isn't, something that only I believed and he didn't, or, whatever. It's like we were both on the same path that we talked about. So, yeah. And it was nice because everybody at the party was like an energy being, and they weren't, and it wasn't just like earth energy beings. It was like from a galactic standpoint. It was like energy beings from all over the, galaxy that we are connected to. We're at this party. And so that's
and you must feel like a sense of, I don't know, I guess, I don't know how you feel, but I mean, it would seem like knowing that he is happy and okay and excited to be where he's at is,
yeah.
must make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And I knew that before. It's like, I know these things, but when you know stuff, you still here in the human physical body. It's, even if you know these things,
Yeah.
it's still hard because you still feel, you still have physical emotions, you still have, physical pain in your body and stuff. So, so even if you logically, emotionally, know these things, your body still reacts differently. So,
Yeah.
and reconcile
It's
with
like,
that.
it's like the part of ourselves that is in this density, this dimension, is still needs to grieve and go through its suffering, but we can bring information from the higher realms. And it's
Yeah.
better if we have that validation from these experiences to really help support, the
Right.
body, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Good explanation.
Yeah. So, I mean, and so then I traveled to other places. So after we left the party, then she took me to, she walked me through hypnotically through the next place. And I just have to check what I wrote down because I can't remember like offhand like where I went right away. But I think the next one, I was laying down.
Well, why go to another place is my question. Like what's the reasoning behind that?
It's all about dimensional travel, and I could. I mean, that's the whole point of I guess life itself. You travel, you can. You go to other places because you can. And I had other questions that I wanted to ask. I wanted to, talk to my higher self. I wanted to meet my spirit guide. I wanted to know why we're here, like about life in the universe and stuff. So I had other, answers or questions I wanted answered.
Did Sabra know those questions going into this, or did you?
Yeah, I gave her a list of things that I wanted to find out for myself, and there was also healing that I wanted to do, which is where I went next. Or actually, there was 2 different places that provided me with healing. And so the next one I went to was basically me laying on a table and receiving some sort of, it was like an energy healing of my spirit that I needed. And I wanted a physical body healing and stuff because, I've had the stenosis, and I just wanted to feel like, a healing there. So I found myself laying on a table, and I knew that there was a being standing over me, and the being, the words that came to me, the being was Arcturian, and it was really, I felt safe, I felt comfortable, and I could feel like there was this, energy around me. It was loving energy, and this Arcturian was working on my my physical body to kind of work with my DNA, and I knew that the healing would be a here in the physical, it would be a slow process, but there it was like, it's, we're doing it now, it's done, kind of thing.
Had you heard of this Arcturian before? Did you know who is that?
Well, it was a being from, I guess it was an Arcturian. That's all I know. There's the words
What is that? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so it's like kind of thing. I don't know. So I've never met one in person outside of this experience. So it was just that was the name, that was the word that came to me. It was an Arcturian. And
what is that, Sabra? Have you heard of that before?
Yes. Yeah, they used to be some guides to me, and they're from Arcturus, the star system. And yeah, and they're powerful healers. They're just higher dimensional beings full of love and powerful healers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, So I met with him, and it was really funny because when I was typing out the notes from this, I never knew what the Arcturian's name was, but I was typing out the notes for her, and then like for some reason Orion popped up in my notes, which was really weird. And Orion's my son's name, obviously, but it's like, that's weird. I mean, it was either a typo or it's like, you know, it meant to be. So that was like really weird because I'm like, I don't remember saying Orion when we were doing the actual hypnosis and stuff, but in my notes popped up that the Arcturian's name was Orion. And so that was kind of bizarre and stuff. So I'm going with it because it was cool.
Yeah.
But he basically gave me, there was, you know, healing energy, letting me know that I was in alignment with like the higher power and source. Letting me know that, you know, we're all one, we're all connected. And yeah, it was just like a massage, an energy massage session, you know, me on the table laying out and he was, you know, doing his thing. And I do remember I kind of got into a conversation, I guess, with my spirit guide. And we were going back and forth after the Arcturian. Then I believe you asked me what my spirit guide's name was, and I said Arthur. You know, I just sort of like, you know, kind of blurted that out, and it was and I was like, oh, okay. And then there was like a conversation back and forth between me and Arthur about like not being so hard on yourself, having more fun in life. Knowing that we are all one, all of us energy together, even though we have our separate consciousnesses, you know, we're all one. And, you know, there's great love in the world if you just embrace it. And yeah, it was a really nice, you know, healing session. And I was just getting, you know, feedback from my spirit guide, Arthur, who was just telling me like, trust yourself and, you know, don't you know, kick yourself, don't worry about, you know, the negative stuff. And so I was kind of getting a pep talk, you know, like everything was okay and so forth.
I have a question back about the healing thing. Do you feel better?
Not 100% yet, physically, but definitely emotionally. I feel a healing in that. So, and I do understand that the actual healing process itself, you know, it may take a little bit more time and earth, you know, earth time kind of thing, because obviously there's no time in their dimension, but there is in ours. And it was like everything was done, everything I had asked for. You're like, yeah, it's done, you're good, it's okay, don't worry about it, it's done. You know, so I was like, oh, okay, you know, it's like, okay, yes, so you say so, and that's fine. So, but yeah, because when you're in a, you know, you're in a space where there's no time, then, you know, and then going back to a space where there is time. Yeah, I don't know what the framework of that is, but
Sabra, like, so for people that have chronic pain, like Denise, and Denise has awful chronic pain, she's got tingling and a lot of pain in her arm and hand.
Yeah,
it's bad. So, and she's on medication for it, and it's debilitating.
Yeah.
So for people like that with chronic pain, how do you see the healing work typically?
I mean, I think there's a purpose and an intelligence behind all of these things, like why we get ill. And so it's like once we let something go or understand something, then we're able to move forward and have a different experience. You know, so it can be many things that bring in a healing. You know, it can be all kinds of things to give you the permission slip to move on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny you're saying that. I just heard somebody else talking about that on a podcast yesterday, that you actually have to feel the pain in order to
feel it to heal it.
That's exactly what she said yesterday. That's so weird.
Yeah. It's your something is trying to get your attention. There's a message behind it.
Yes.
That's so weird. And how people, she went on to say like how we're taught at an early age to avoid all kinds of pain, you know, that's not cry, not feel pain. And so that's, you know, so many people, they do anything to not feel the pain in their life. They, you know, escape somehow, whether it's drugs, alcohol, reading, eating, you know, whatever they're obsessed with to not feel. So that's so crazy that that's great that you were
all kinds of suppressed feelings in there.
That's crazy.
Right.
Okay, sorry, Denise. So I was just wondering if you were still in pain. I just want to know.
Just a little, yeah. So it's
Okay, go ahead.
the tingling is still there, and I do still take the medication, and I'm not gonna stop that, you know, or anything, and you know, I'll just let it heal as it does, and kind of, you know,
Do you have to go back like for more sessions, Sabra? Like, is it is
No.
this something that okay.
I mean, of course you can. It's not that you have to do that, but every time I've received a session, I've gotten more and more information. So maybe every year it's like, I mean, I did it in a series of a week. I had multiple sessions and every day was so different, but maybe along the lines of the same theme. But now if you can do them every year, it would be like a very different experience. Yeah. Because you're learning different lessons, you're in different energy. Yeah.
And we're always evolving. And that's the whole point, that, you know, that's part of the game, basically, that, you know, we're here evolving, which is like, so yeah. And what was it? It was like that the spirit guy was kind of telling me, like, everyone who's open to this is something that you know, all they have to do is ask. And so you don't necessarily need, you know, someone to guide you, but if you ask, or like I did, I mean, I know I can do this on my own, but I wanted someone like Sabra to you know, walk me through it, and you know, kind of help me through this particular process or whatever. And I just felt it would be more powerful, because there's nothing wrong with asking for help, physically here or spiritually. I mean, if, you know, and that's what people need to do. It's like, if you feel stuck somewhere, you just need to ask for help, ask your spirit guides, ask your friends, ask, you know, a higher source, ask, you know, just ask your angels, you know, just always know that you're not alone, and there's always someone to ask, you know, and be open to receiving the messages or the healings, or, you know, whatever it is that you need, you being open to it.
I've been doing this in my life recently. Don't laugh at me, but I've been singing that song, Calling All Angels.
Yes.
My voice is so hoarse because I was screaming at something yesterday, but I'll do that. I'll be like, calling all angels.
That's fun, because the next place that I went to was exactly about that, like singing.
Oh, really?
Using singing as a healing.
Oh, yes, I'm big into that, and music. But what's funny, not funny, but I just have to say something about the asking for help, or calling all angels. Every single time that I've done that, I've received help, and they've helped me through something, or I've been like, please, angels, like make this so that pray, or I don't know what that is, or just asking for some sort of something, you know, help, I guess it's a good, and every single time, I'm gonna call it a prayer, my prayer is answered, is every time. And it might not look like I thought it was gonna look.
Right.
Quite often
that's the key to it, though, is that you have to be open to it coming and healing you in whatever way is in your best and highest interest, and you can't be attached to the outcome.
That's right.
For it. I mean, if you're saying, well, I want this thing to happen, and it has to happen just like this. If you feel like you have to, you know, say how, when, where, and why, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for it to happen. If you just say, you know, give it over to God source, or Jesus take the wheel kind of situation, and let it go, then that's how the healing happens. You know, you have to let it go to a higher source, a higher power, and not, you know, try to control how it happens and the outcome yourself. Because that's where we all get tied up, is when we're trying to, you know, make it ourselves, you know, happen.
And the other thing too is that I used to feel like I had a limit of prayer or wishes answered, or you know what I mean? A limit. So I'd be real careful what, you know, I'd be careful what I was like asking for. Yeah, exactly. And then and finally one day I was like, why am I, you know what? I bet if I asked all day long, every day, I mean, every time I've asked, they've helped me. Why wouldn't they? You know, finally I'm like, you know, I have to give up that limitation. Yeah. And I was giving myself. Okay, so tell me about the songs.
Yes. Yeah. So that's cool. So moving on to the next place that I went to, which was another place that was really cool. It felt like another planet. So I had gone to this place, and the first thing I saw was I was on a beach, and it was really hot, and basically it's like on this planet, it was like mostly ocean or something along those lines. It was very beautiful. The sky was turquoise, the water was pink, and I was an octopus on this planet. It was really cool, and the octopus were like or at least the one that I was like an authority figure. It was like royalty on this particular planet, or somebody who was an authority figure. And then I stepped into the water from off the beach, and it was very cool, refreshing water, and started swimming through the water, and I met mermaids. And there were all these mermaids like swimming through, and I was like, oh, they're real. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. It's so cool. I was having so much fun. I was swimming through. My conscience was like, yay, they're here. So I don't know if this was like a multi-dimensional thing or just another planetary thing, but it was. And so then the word Lemuria popped up for me, and so we were saying, oh, this is a connection to Lemuria. And
Is that
what
a real place?
Mhm.
It's a real place.
I don't know if it's the real place or if it was like connected to it, where the beings that live there, maybe maybe they came to Earth and formed that, or maybe this was the real Lemuria. I wasn't really sure what the connection was. I just knew that there was some sort of connection to Lemuria, and the mermaids and the octopus were there, and there was no fighting between them. There was no like everybody thrived on this planet. Like everybody got along. There was no fear, no predators towards each other. There was just like this absolute sharing and love and beauty every day, and working together every day. There was no money or any of those situations where you have to work for your living kind of thing. It was just a very happy place.
Everything was provided.
Everything was provided.
Have you heard of this place before? You're nodding.
Things.
Sabra's like,
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel very connected with Lemuria. But yeah, it's an early civilization on the Earth, and it was very multidimensional. There were beings from other planets that came. And so because it was it was a higher dimension than it is on Earth now. So because of the density and dimension that we had on the planet at that time, there were all kinds of beings walking. It wasn't just the Earth kind of humans as we know them. But
Right.
but yeah, and everything that she's describing, it feels very Lemurian. Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool. So it was like, yeah, I'd like to live here.
Does an octopus represent something to anybody?
No, they don't really represent anything for me. I've always thought that octopus they know they're very intelligent. And I do remember watching a show where they were saying, and it was on Gaia television or something like that, where they were saying the Earth is a place where all different beings from all over the universe are seated here. Like a planet like where I went to, where they were just octopus and mermaids, those were the dominant beings there, and there really wasn't a whole lot of other animals or beings or whatever life sources there. Whereas Earth is sort of like the Noah's Ark of the galaxies. There's every being is represented in some way or another on our planet. So the octopus on our planet may have been seeded from this particular planet or so forth. And that's because that's what I saw on that show, and that's oh yeah, that kind of resonated with me when I was on the planet.
Cool.
So it was really kind of cool. It's oh yeah, that makes sense.
It was familiar to you, yeah.
It was very familiar, and I know that I had lived on that planet, or that was a past life of some sort for me.
Huh.
On that planet. But it was It was very nice, very cool.
And the mermaids were telling you, use your voice as a healing device for your
That's yeah,
body.
that's for the song.
Sing, yeah.
Yeah, so the mermaids were telling me that I should use my voice, and they're saying for healing, singing is a really good way to heal your soul and your energy and so forth. And so, you know, that's how they heal themselves. And they were, you know, telling me that I'm, you know, connected with them, so that I should definitely you know, use my voice in singing, because it
Yeah.
just empowers, you know, it
Yeah.
gives
For
you.
me, like if I put on a good song that I can just belt out, my
Yeah.
vibration will like skyrocket. Like I'm at my highest vibration. I feel
You're,
it. Yeah.
and you feel, though, because you, if a good song comes on and you're singing along with it, you're just like, yeah,
Uh,
ooh, you know.
I mean, I really like recently I've also started to do that because I realize that it's an immediate like
Yeah,
endorphin or whatever. It just makes me
yeah,
happy immediately. So
yeah,
every day I make myself, or not make myself, I allow myself to turn on music and sing the dorkiest songs to my,
right,
really
yeah,
loud.
yeah.
So I can see why that
And
would be
now if
important.
you can't dance, because you know dancing has the same effect as well, and
Yeah.
it's letting yourself go and just enjoying the moment and having fun, and that's really the purpose of our life anyway, is to have fun. And
Right.
so when you find
Right.
different ways to do that, you raise your vibration, and the whole point of raising your vibration is expansion of your energy source, and really you know, just owning it, you know, owning your power in that.
Yeah.
So,
So cool.
and then I really want to get into like the next place I went to on there, because it was really cool. I was only there for a moment, but I snapped into a place of absolute darkness, and I wasn't scared in the darkness. I was just everything was dark, and I couldn't see anything, not one thing, and I felt like it was a while that I was sitting there and not seeing anything. And then all of a sudden I kept thinking, there's no light here, there's no light here. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, wait a second, I'm the light. Like,
Hmm.
and so the moment I realized that I was the light in this darkness, then my light grew. And then I recognized that I was at the beginning of time, and that I was the light energy, and that this big ball of light energy that I was expanding to was all of us, was everyone in the universe, everyone in the galaxy, everyone on the planet, everybody. We were all this beginning. So it basically tells you like our energy, our consciousness has been here since the beginning of time, and all of us have been here since the beginning of time. So there's no, you know, you're an old soul or anything like that. I mean, you might be an old or new soul to this planet, but every soul is infinite and has been here since the beginning of time. We were one, and we've expanded and grown and dispersed to go on our own little journeys across the universe and so forth, and do and experience all these different things across the universe. But we're still connected and we're still one, even though I individually know my consciousness here. But you know, once you go back into the, you know, crossover into the light and stuff, you realize that, you know, we're all connected, and we're still that one source, that God source.
That's
And so
cool.
it was really cool, you know, being there. And that was like a quick journey. So, and
I just point out, because I just have to point this out, that I hope you realize that that's one of your superpowers here on Earth, is and I feel like that might have been a reminder for you that you are the light to so many people,
uh,
and that, yeah. So
uh,
I just want you to hear that, because
yeah,
I I might start crying. I am starting to cry, but you know, through this like awful thing that's happened in your life, which just surprises me, shocks me. Like
yeah,
it doesn't shock me, but it does. It's like your ability to be there to stand up and to be there for other people as a um not teaching, but like just the way that you show up
mm,
in this world
oh,
is so admirable, and is so um it's just amazing. It amazes me And
Oh,
and I know everybody feels that way about you. And so I feel like that might have been, I want you to hear that. And because I think it's really important that you move through your life knowing that you are a light to everybody that you come in contact with. So I hope you know that. That's all.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I do think that, you know, I've known throughout my entire life that I've been that to so many people, because, you know, so many people have told me when, you know, when they're needing reassuring or uplifting or something like that, you know, I've been there. But I know through this experience, though, that, that higher energy, that higher self that we all have a connection with, it comes through me, and it helps other people when they ask me. Like I've had complete strangers tell me their life stories, and I'm there to help them, and and uplift them. And then I've had people that I care about deeply who are in places where they just need, to feel heard. And so, and I know, and I always tell people, it's kind of like that story, that TV show Touched by an Angel, where, you're just in someone's life and you're talking to them and stuff, and then all of a sudden, they need that extra support, and then, like, I can feel when my higher source is connected to me, and it's like I can feel like the light coming down through me, and I'm telling them things that they need to hear in that moment. And I just feel like, you know, okay, I'm your earth angel in this moment. I'm here to tell you that you're loved and you're cared for, and you're feeling trapped in some place that you shouldn't feel trapped, because you have the power. You are a beautiful, loving consciousness that has been put and indoctrinated into a world where really we should be living like the mermaids and the octopus. We should be sharing. We should be, not feeling trapped and discarded in so many ways.
Feeling
So
joy and being happy.
exactly, we should be happy.
Yeah.
And there, so many people want to try and tell you otherwise, like, oh, you have to go to work and do this and you have to do that to get this amount of money or whatever. And it's like, well, we only have to because somebody put some power source in play to make us feel like we can't just be happy and live off the land, or share with each other, or whatever, however the mermaids are doing it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
it's doable. It's just that we're indoctrinated into a world where they're telling us that it's not.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and
I
then
do know. I know. Oh, go ahead. I
okay,
have
no, I was saying,
okay.
I went,
Go
because I
ahead.
didn't want put too much time in there, but I made a quick stop at the Akashic records after that. That was my last one. And by the time I got to the Akashic records, I was so like, just filled with love and energy and light and everything at this point. It's like, I didn't really feel like I had to explore too much in the records. Like I found myself in like a room that was just my history, like the history of my higher self, my spirit, the journey through all of universe. Like this was my room. Like I had my own room, and there was books all over the place.
Wow.
And I saw the bookshelves and stuff, and each book was like a different life. And it was just filled with, it was its own it was its own part of the library of the whole universal library. Everybody has their own room kind of thing.
Huh.
And I could have, reached and taken out a book of a particular past life, or, or a future life or anything like that. But I was like, I'm good. Like I got all this. And then the only thing I really felt like I needed, but like Archangel Michael stepped in while I was in this room, and offered to just cut cords for me, cords of fear, cords of anxiety. Like, let's just get rid of all that, and it's like, so I can come back into this body, into this physicality, and just,
What a
have fun
gift.
with my life and
What a
enjoy it.
gift that was.
Yeah. And I remember I kept saying, thank you, Michael, over and over and over. And he was just doing his deal. He's just like, yeah, I got you. It's all good. I got you.
So you were there and you basically didn't have feel like you had any regrets or any thing you
No.
needed to resolve, or
Yeah.
that is also unbelievable. Like that's
Yeah.
that's an
I mean,
amazing,
like I'm
amazing.
literally sitting in my library of all the lives that I've experienced, and I'm like, this is good. This is cool. Every single story and every single book is there for a reason, and it's good. And I have nothing to, cry about or fix or whatever. I mean, if anything, I was crying joy because it was amazing.
Wow,
Um,
that's amazing.
yeah,
That's
it was just
amazing. Yeah.
super, super
I
cool. But yeah, like
I
when
can
we,
imagine some people would be in their room crying and being, feeling awful. So the fact that you were able to, your spirit was able to, be
just
okay and be
yeah,
more than okay.
embrace the journey. And that's what we all are here to do. Just embrace the journey and know that we are more than just this physical body, and know that our consciousness lives on forever. It's infinite. And even though we're having a human experience right here and right now in this moment, it's going to be like it's going to be a book. So yeah, we know our lives are filled with chapters, and that book it's going to be closed and, put in, and, then we're going to start a new one, at some point, if we want. We can fill the library as big as we want or as small as we want. So we're not like obligated to do all these things, but life is about expanding and enjoying the journey on the way. And like now with, Blake and I, we chose to be partners in this life. And, we chose to experience what we experienced together and share what we shared together, have 2 kids and live this life. And we're going to see each other again. I saw him and I'm going to see him again, when and the thing is, like, everybody has to not fear death because we all die, but our consciousness doesn't, and it's something, that we just have to move on for. And right now
Well,
it's like,
I,
Blake left the show early, but it
he,
doesn't mean I'm not going to see him later.
yeah, no, you feel him all the time. I know that.
Yeah.
But I this is what I wanted to say before. Like I know this in my being that his death was not like in vain. Like you are going to do something with it. Like if that makes any sense. Like you're gonna, because of this, not you will be able, we haven't seen it yet because it's only been a short amount of time, but I know that there was a reason for it, and the reason is not yet shown, but that you are going to do great things in his name, if that makes any sense. Or
And we're a partnership,
yeah,
and and our connection is still there, and I still hear him and talk to him and so forth, and I can put myself in a state of meditation and stuff where I'll be able to connect with him. So he won't be here physically, and I'm going to mourn that. I'm going to still have the grief from that, but at least in the grief now, because of what I heard from Bashar this weekend, at least in the grief that I had, I can understand that I'm feeling that heightened emotion because he's actually with me, and
yeah.
so
I
I
think
have to.
Sabra has to go. Sorry, I think she's trying to tell us that she has to go.
Sorry, my client's here, but
No,
I will
that's
just
okay.
jump
But
off.
I'm
Keep
gonna
going.
I'm gonna put in the notes how to reach you, because
Okay.
I know people will listen to this and want to call you, including myself.
Thank you
So
so much. I want to talk to you guys later. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
thank
you.
Bye,
you.
guys.
It's so nice to meet you.
Awesome.
That was
Yeah,
good that she was able
that
to
was
join us. And I'm a little, I have to like girl talk here.
okay.
I'm a little scared to do it. I don't know why.
It is at first it is a little scary because you don't know what you're going to see. And even like when I got to that place where it was absolute darkness, I didn't know
Yeah.
what would happen next, because I'm like, I was literally sitting in pitch black. And I'm like, okay, where am I and what's going on? And, and I'm thinking like, is this going to be something negative? Like, I don't know. But it wasn't, so, and I do, and the feeling of it was, is instantly, you're okay. Don't be afraid. Like, there's no fear here. Like and the way she was walking me through it too was like, every stop was going to be, being in your highest good. You know, every stop was meant to
Okay,
be
so she's walking you through it and
talking you through the whole
making you
thing.
calm. Yeah, okay.
I can hear what she's saying. And so unlike the out of body experience I had when I was younger, like I had an out of body experience where I literally stepped outside of my body, my consciousness stepped outside of my body. And when that happened, I was completely, I no longer had control of my body because I was completely outside of it.
Yeah.
In this experience, I knew my consciousness was experiencing something different. But there was even a point where, you know, my hands were like, you know, doing this on my chest while I was laying there, like I was doing stuff like that with my hands. And that's because I was talking with my, when I was going back and forth in my conversation with my higher self and with my spirit guide, like they were talking to me and I was talking to them. And so it was going back and forth. And a lot of those conversations was about, you know, you're okay. You're going to do great. You know, your life is, you know, here to uplift. You're here to, you know, guide others, you know, and empower yourself and, you know, just really embrace the journey. Cause that's the biggest part, is just embracing the journey and knowing that, you know, this is like, it's an experience, it's an expansion, it's not real in the sense that you know, everything on the other side is real. When you pass over, that's more real than here. But you know, it's like being on a roller coaster ride. You know, you get on it, it like takes you up and down through trials and, you know, blah blah blah, all this other stuff, and you're going around and you're scared to death the whole time you're riding it, and then you get off and you're like, wow, that was great, let's do it again, you know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring it back to jewelry for a second because that's what I love about jewelry, is that its ability to allow you to feel connected, if you will, to something or somebody. So, you know, when you know this, after my father died, I had like a little charm that had his name on it that was my grandmother's, and I got married in it. I wouldn't take it off. You know, it was like super important to me, and it's actually the reason why my husband and I started our jewelry business. So we made like handwriting jewelry and things like that with and I was connecting with people all day long about the loved ones that they had lost. It was very cathartic for me. And had I not had that therapy, or, you know, or just, I don't know what it was, like that ability to connect and to help others connect. It helped me through the death of my dad.
And that's what is for, I hope, you know, is to connect people, because it does do that. And it's really interesting because at the beginning of the year, I was focused on like the peace, you know, these sigils and stuff that are attracting peace, attract love, attract abundance, and so forth. But for some reason this year, I felt a stronger pull for peace and an inner peace. And so I've been kind of focusing on this jewelry, because I'm really hoping that through all the chaos and you know, craziness that's going on in the outside world, that people can really keep things, you know, keep their world here, you know, keep it with you and focus on your own inner peace. And this experience helped me to see that more clearly, because I knew before, even before Blake had passed and everything, that there was a need for more and more people to focus on peace. And that's what I'm trying to, you know, put out there for my jewelry and stuff, is really have, and, you know, not just the jewelry, but like, you know, in my talks and anytime just yesterday, I was talking with my dad about the same thing, because he was getting, you know, wrapped up in politics and stuff. And I said, hey, Dad, you know, just focus on your peace. You know, don't worry about what other people are thinking or doing. And if it feels toxic to you, you know, let it go. Like, it's not worth it. You can vote how you're going to vote, live how you're going to live, control the things that you can control within your realm, in your life, in your experience. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing, because you're not going to change them. You're not going to, you know, force them. You can love them, but, you know, outside of that, you know, just the toxicity is just going to weigh us all down. And if we're if we're focused on our own inner peace and, you know, expanding that outwards, that light, like you said, if I can be the light for myself and I can just shine brightly in that light, then that light will affect those around me, and people will want that. And the more people who want the light and share light with each other, I can share my light with you, you can share your light with me, and we can share it with people over there. The more light we share with each other, then the more powerful we are.
It is contagious. Yeah, it is contagious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I know that someone told me that if you smile, the whole world will smile back at you. You know, it's like
Right.
if you put out that energy, then
Yeah.
that's what you get back. And that's just the whole point of all of this, you know?
Yeah.
Is
Like just like, and Abraham Hicks will say in their stuff, like one person, one who is connected to source is more powerful than a million who are not. So if you yourself can connect yourself to a higher power, raise your vibration, be in your highest good, be in your highest being, you are more powerful than a million people that you interpret as negative or whatever. I mean, you don't want to judge, obviously, but you're more powerful, you know, because that negative energy, no matter how much is out there, is not as powerful as like one, you know, one who's connected to the highest of highest source. You know, you're bringing your light out. Yeah, it's really good.
I know that. So one thing that you were worried about in having this conversation was that you were going to forget anything. So I want to give you the opportunity to reflect for a second and make sure that you didn't forget anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I do have everything in there that I wanted to say, the most important stuff, because I mean, it was an amazing experience. And the only thing that is, you know, important to me, like I said at the beginning, is that I know this isn't going to be for everybody. And I know there's some people who are going to be like, they are bat crazy.
Yeah, totally. I know
that.
Yeah.
Fine. You know, if they that, it's my experience. I've had multiple, you know, real experiences like this. Like I said, my out of body experience is clear as day. I've had connections with source. I've been pulled into the white light, which I tell that story on another podcast, where I was completely pulled into the light, you know, much like near death experience people will describe. And when you have experiences like this, it's a knowing. Like
Yeah, totally.
like I was in this when this happened. So when someone comes in and says, well, that didn't happen, or that wasn't real, or you dreamed it, or something like that, that's their way of kind of gaslighting you. Like I said before, I mean, it's, you know, you can't tell me that I didn't have an experience. And
well,
so,
and you know what, this podcast conversation, might not be for them. They don't have to listen to it if they don't want to. I mean,
exactly. And that's basically the point and stuff. So it's like when the conversation is not for you, you are like, you can leave it. You know?
Totally. More power to you.
No, it's all good, you know.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Well, my hope in sharing, well, first of all, I wanted to give you the space to share your experience. So I hope I've done that. And then I wanted to just, anyone listening, urge them to enter your world somehow. I don't know what that looks like, but like connect with you on Facebook, or I don't know, something, because to watch Denise go through this awful experience, and I'm not saying doesn't cry to me. I mean, I'm one of her good friends, and trust me, she cries to me. But to also watch her move through it with such grace and strength is really something. And I could see a lot of people that are mourning somebody. I could see how they would want to connect with you and want to learn from you. You know, I can see that. So that's my hope, you know, is anyone that's needing that kind of connection. And also check out her jewelry. I love it. And I'm wearing, you know, pinned in. I wear her jewelry. I think it's beautiful. And yes. So, and you know, I've talked to that you've also started to incorporate some gemstones and the healing power.
Healing power. Yeah, specifically. Like right now I'm wearing the labradorite, and for me this represents like bringing magic into my life, along with the moldavite, and they together, they like really empower, like expand your power as your energy. and so forth. So I've been wearing these, and I have so many other gemstones and stuff that, when you wear them and they touch your skin and your energy and you meditate with them and stuff, they really just expand your energy.
And it's interchangeable, right? That pendant.
Yeah, this one is interchangeable.
Yeah,
so I can take this off on the end and put another stone on there. I'm just, for now, just connected to the magic.
I think that's I love that feature of the piece of jewelry.
That's the nature of who I am right now, and the peace. I definitely have, remind myself throughout the day. It's like, it's all about the peace. Stay away from the toxicity of the outside world and the chaos of the outside world. Just your own inner peace, and that's the commitment that I want to have in my life going forward, because I know things are going to get more and more crazy outside.
Yeah.
So,
well, this whole world needs that right now. Peace now.
Right.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah. Remember, keep your world and keep your own inner peace intact, and keep your vibration raised, and
yeah.
So I really appreciate you having me here and sharing this, going through this experience with me, and letting us record it so others can share it. Because we were going to have this conversation anyway, but recording it lets other people in on it, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I was so happy. It was your idea, and I'm very happy about it. And you and I have a standing talk on Mondays, and plus throughout the week. But I'm just saying, so this was your idea, and it was really a great one. Well, we had already talked about having you on the podcast,
right?
But yeah, so I know this is a little off topic of just jewelry, but that's not what the podcast is. It's not solely about that anyway. But I do urge anybody listening to check out Gaia Goddess Fine Jewelry, and to connect with Denise on Facebook or whatnot. And then yeah, man, I just can't wait to see what life has in store for you, girl, because I know it's greatness. I know it's greatness, and I am happy to be along for the ride, and I'm grateful that I have you in my life, and that
thank you. I love you. I love you.
I love you. I got through without being so cry baby-ish, because thank God.
I know. I mean, yeah, it's hard, but yeah, I just, I walk
hard. I feel for you and your family, and
he's always around me, and
I know he is. I know that for a fact, and I was personally very happy to hear that he was happy, and so that gives me a sense of comfort.
And the part I love the most too was that when I saw him, he appeared to me in his young self, his 30-year-old, healthy and happy and stuff, and he's bouncing around, and he was clearly sharing stories and adventures with the people in the crowd that he was with.
Which is him. That's so him anyway.
But I felt when I saw his energy as it started to, become him, it was just sort of I'm telling a story, and it was yep, he's telling another story.
Yeah.
So it was amazing, because when he recognized my energy being there, and he came to me, I was so overwhelmed and happy, and crying and stuff. I'm it was just sort of that energetic embrace kind of thing. And
it'd be interesting. I wonder if Sabra always ever videos her. I would be curious as to what you were looking like during this. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't know why. I mean, she has she has her phone and other things, and she did try to record it at one point. But her recording, I can't make anything out of it. So her mic was just completely jacked up and everything, because there's an hour and a half of recorded fuzz that didn't go through.
Huh.
It didn't work. So if I could do what she do, well, I can do what she does. We all can. So it was just it's just something you would want to record every session, and but yeah, it didn't work out. But I'm glad we got to do this, because at least I got to recount the things that.
Are you gonna do it again, you think?
I don't know. It's a little pricey, and I don't want to say, but
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think I got what I needed out of her in that session to be guided through it, because like I do meditations quite often, and in my meditations I'm able to, you know, raise my vibration enough that I can speak directly to my higher self. And this experience has allowed me to understand that I can trust that that's what I'm doing, you know, that I
Okay,
can.
that's cool, because when I'm gonna have you teach me how to do that, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that in my life, that's where I know I don't meditate, and I know I need to.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of don't know how to do it, so maybe we can we'll talk about that, and maybe we can share that story next about how to do that, because that's like kind of the key to everything, is to get
I mean,
silent to
your inner peace as well, is being able to meditate
yeah.
and raise your vibration, and you know, basically you know, be your inner self. And
I mean, I got so much going on up here. Like I talk to myself all day long. It's like yapping, yapping, yapping. I can't even imagine shutting that
yeah,
down.
a
It's
lot of
like
people
that would be
do
peaceful.
talk. Yeah.
It would
And a
be
lot of
peaceful.
people negative talk quite often, and that negative talk is what keeps you in the chaos.
Well, I have all kinds of talk, but yeah, negative talk too. But I mean, I'm just talking like it's like constant yapping. That's why it's
Right.
hard for me to get silent, and it's scary for me to get silent too, by the way. I'm like,
Oh,
just FYI. So anyway, but we'll talk about that, and
yeah.
that's interesting. That's interesting that you got that, knowing that you can
Mhm.
trust that. That's very cool. So,
Yeah.
all right,
Yep.
girly. Well, my
Okay.
voice is kind of starting to fade on me, so we've been on this for a while. So anyway, thank you so much. I
Thank you.
love you, and
I love you.
I know everyone listening to this will love you too. So, mwah.
Mwah.